How are you doing?
Hey, I love you.
How are you?
Hello.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Are You OK? My name's Ebony and this is a show about sharing honest conversations, sometimes messy but always insightful and always authentic. I'll be serving up a slice of chaos and comfort as I navigate my life in my 20s. So whether you're listening while commuting or doing laundry or just avoiding your responsibilities, I'm so glad you're here. So I'm checking in from the lands of the Ngunnawal people and I'm honoured to pay my respects to the true custodians of Australia and to practice the important art of storytelling through recording this podcast. Right now it is quite an early morning. It's getting into winter and I'm freezing. It was 6 degrees when I woke up this morning, so it's getting cold, guys, and this is just the start, so I'm kind of nervous, but the sun has been out, which has been beautiful. I hope everyone is doing well. I actually haven't recorded a podcast in a while. This is my first podcast recording since last year because we had a bit of a backlog. So yeah, it feels really good to be back recording. We do a weekly recommendation every single podcast episode, just highlighting something that we want to recommend this week. Now, my recommendation for this week is to do things that you think are out of your league. And you'll find that the episode is pretty much about this, so it's all aligned. But I recently just got an opportunity that I didn't think was even possible for me. And I think I just had a bit of imposter syndrome on the topic, but I realized that I was qualified for this thing. I'll reveal it a little bit later, but I think we got to give ourselves more credit because we are capable of doing things that are crazy big. Okay, anyway, let's actually dive into the episode. I'm really excited about this one. Today we're going to be talking about rejection therapy, and this is part of our series, The Side Quest Chronicles. So if you don't know, I have a co-host, May. She's amazing. So for every series that we do, we have a duo episode and then we each do a solo episode. This is my solo episode. And we just did one on side quests and why you should embrace side quests in your 20s. And it was such a fun episode. We talked about things that we think are side quests that no one really talks about, like things that enrich your life. And we talked about how important it is to have side quests on the side of your main quest. So that was really fun. So yeah, definitely go give that a listen if you haven't. But I'm very excited for this one. This is my solo episode on rejection therapy and side quests. Let's go! So for this series, May and I were like, what could we do that is something really fun and engaging? And we thought, you know what? Side quests are like a big topic right now, but also rejection therapy as well. Like you see people on TikTok doing the funniest things. Like they'll go up to random people and ask them questions just to enrich their life, like with rejection therapy. So May and I have set ourselves a challenge to put ourselves in situations where we might get rejected over and over again. And then we're going to report back on everything that we learned from this. And we are documenting everything on the podcast. So May has her own little rejection therapy series. I'll be talking about things that I've purposely done for this episode for rejection therapy, but I'm also going to be talking about things in my life that pretty much were rejection therapy and that if I didn't ask for something, then I wouldn't be the person that I am today, which is crazy. And also I want to do a little challenge with you guys at the end. So make sure you stay at the end and hear the challenge and let me know how you go with that because I feel like this is such an important lesson to learn about rejection therapy, and I feel like if we're all kind of doing this together, it makes it more fun. So yeah. Okay, a little bit of background. So I've always been a very shy person, so I think this is why rejection therapy is such an important lesson or exercise for me to do. I usually hate putting myself out there if it means that in return, I'm going to feel embarrassed as a result or action of what I've just done, if that makes sense. So I think I get embarrassed very easily. I don't know what it is, but I'm fine filming TikToks in public, or I'm fine doing a dance concert, performing, whatever. But as soon as it's something like I'm putting my insecurities on the line and I'm going to be embarrassed, I can't. I really don't like it. So I think maybe a lot of people feel this way. I think it's hard because we always want to feel very included in a group and we never want to feel singled out. We never want to feel not like other girls. We never want to feel that we don't fit in. And going out knowing that you're going to get rejected is just so scary. Why would we do that? And I'm going to tell you why. So taking that into account, I'm going to contradict myself now a little bit. So a little kind of quote that I live by that I don't really know where I got this from, but I believe that pushing yourself out of your comfort zone creates growth. And so this is why this challenge is so good. I will personally seek things out that will actually push me out of my comfort zone because I believe this is the only way to grow. And I've really noticed this after I finished school. I feel like when I was in my little bubble at school, finishing year 11 and 12, I was really academic and I was just really by the rules and I really just did anything to like please kind of other people. You know, I'd make sure I got my work done on time. I'd make sure that I would go to all the classes. I'd make sure I'd go to the extra study sessions. Like I was a good studious girl. So this is something that I've really had to learn to push myself out of my comfort zone for my own learning, not to like benefit someone else. I think that is something that I've really learned since finishing school, because like when you finish school, you're out there on your own. Like you have no one pushing you to do things. It's all on you. It's all you. I think the trend on TikTok of going out and doing rejection therapy things, or like, you know, going up to someone. Like I saw a video the other day and it was this guy and he was pretending to be a spiritual like medium, and he went up to these people and asked them to do something, and they fully believed that he was like a spiritual like guy doing a thing on them. I don't know what the technical words are, but yeah. And I think we all engage really well with this rejection therapy topic on TikTok or social media or whatever, because it's like people think like, oh my gosh, that is crazy. I would never put myself out there like that. So that is the reason why we should embrace rejection therapy, just to grow and put ourselves in new situations. And as you'll see when I'm about to explain my own stories of rejection therapy, people are more likely to say yes than you think they are. Anyway, let's get on into my stories. Okay, so this has been a little bit of a challenge, and May and I have kind of challenged ourselves to push ourselves out of our comfort zone and do things that we wouldn't usually do. I know May has a few really exciting ones. I feel like I didn't get to do as many like crazy ones, but I have a few things that I have done in the last few weeks. So the first thing that I did to embrace rejection therapy was, if you don't know, I really want to open a cafe when I finish uni. Like it'll probably be a bit down the line, maybe a year after I finish uni, but I thought I need to gain as much like knowledge and learning as I can. So I thought, who are some people that I really, really look up to? Like business owners, who are people that I really look up to? Like I just want to DM them and be like, hey, can you give me some advice on business and stuff? And I thought, there's this cafe in Sydney that I really like. It's called Sundays and it's in Bondi, and she's just killing the game. Like maybe I'll get her on this podcast, but she knows her audience. The way she just created hype around her brand, like from the get-go, and the fact that she's been in business for like 9 months, I think, and she has lines around the shop for her cinnamon scroll shop, which I just think is insane, and she's doing so well for herself. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to message her. And I messaged her. Wait, maybe I'll read out the message. I said to her, I said, hey, I hope you're doing well. This is kind of random, but I've been thinking of for a while to open a cupcake shop in Canberra, but I honestly don't know where to start. And I was wondering if you'd be down to have coffee with me, as I would love to know more about how you started Sundays, but also what I would be in for if I open a shop. Haha. If you'd be keen, I would love to catch up with you. The next time I'm in Sydney, I'll be there. Blah. I know you're probably super busy, and it's so last minute, but it'd be so amazing to chat with you. Let me know what you think. I love watching your business thrive on socials. You're killing it. That's what I said to her. And she was like, oh my God, of course. That's so nice. Thank you for reaching out and for your support. It's so exciting. She said, I would love to have coffee with you and help with any advice. So I was nervous, really nervous to do that, because I'm like, she is so busy. She's a business owner. Like, I was so scared, but I was like, I need to network more. I need to make connections with people who are like where I want to be and learn from them. So I literally messaged her and she said yes, which is crazy. I don't know why. I think I just have like maybe imposter syndrome or something, where I'm like, why would someone want to talk to me? Anyway, it was really cute. Last time I was in Sydney, it was about a month ago. She recommended this really cute cafe. We went there, we had pancakes, and we had a chat, we had a yarn, and it was so good. I learned so much from her. I explained kind of my story, kind of my doubts about starting a cafe, and I asked her so many questions. I was like, how did you start? I want to know from the beginning, what was your story? We talked about how we both went traveling, and it was just really nice. I think it was really nice to talk to her, and I felt very, very inspired afterwards. Now, I was scared to ask her to meet up with me, because I was like, oh, you know, she's so busy. Like, she's a cafe owner, like, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, at the end of the day, she's just a human. And I know that's going to sound really random, but we're just humans looking for connection. If she asked me the same thing and I was in her position, I'd be like, of course, like, let's catch up. So if I'm willing to do that, surely enough, if people are kind of have the same values and stuff as me, that they will also want to meet up with me. It was very cool. We had a lot of like interests. We bonded very well. She was so lovely and I learned a lot. Yeah, and I just felt really, really inspired. And I can't imagine if I didn't meet up with her. Like, if I just didn't DM her, I'd just be like a silent watcher of her page, you know? It's always really scary. Even if like you think you would be really good friends with someone and you're like scared to message them, just message them. I'm sure they're literally thinking the exact same way about you. that was my first little rejection therapy quest of this episode. Okay, next. Now, a little bit of context. I've been wanting to collaborate with KitchenAid for so long, and KitchenAid's my dream brand to work with. And for so long as a content creator, I've just kind of stayed in my own comfort, I would say, yeah. Because I just kind of make content at home, and I'm like in my little bubble in Canberra. There's not a lot of content creators here, so I don't always like surrounded by like people in the industry, if that makes sense. So I'm always just kind of writing solo in my own comfort zone. And it wasn't until I started going to some events in Sydney that I realized that a lot of content creators like full put themselves out there. Because I would always have this thing of like almost like resentment, being like, oh, why does this creator get this opportunity? Why does this one get this opportunity? And I'm just here, I'm trying to do the same thing. What's going on? And I realized I'm actually not putting myself out there for brands. And if I want to work with a brand, they're not just going to come to me. They don't know I want to work with them, maybe. They don't know I'm a fan. So I've got to start actually, firstly, one, creating content on that brand and like mentioning them and saying, how much I love them, but also reaching out to the brand and being like, I'm such a fan, like, can we collab? And I feel like, yeah, I'm just a more like reserved kind of creator. Like, I just never really reach out to people. I think that's something that I'm lacking. But I actually decided that this year, at the start of the year, I would mention that I really want to work with KitchenAid. I mentioned it in my goals, and I said my number one goal this year is to work with KitchenAid. And so I had a meeting with my manager, and I said, I really want to work with KitchenAid. And she was like, okay. She approached them and she messaged them. And I reckon because of me tagging them and then her reaching out, the combination meant that they were keen to collab with me, which was crazy. So my manager like executed that, I feel, and I put the feelers out there, and then I got to go to my first ever event with KitchenAid, and I also got sent one of their blenders, which is crazy. Like, little backstory, when I was 15, I bought my very first KitchenAid, and I literally saved up all of my money. Like, from the first cakes that I made, I saved up all my money. I was using my grandma's like secondhand Kenwood Chef before that. It was pretty good, but I really wanted the KitchenAid. And then I remember when it arrived, like, it was the happiest day of my life. It was the beginning of something. So yeah, I just feel like I go way back with KitchenAid. So I was like, it would be such a meaningful collab. And yeah, I got to go to the KitchenAid cake picnic in Sydney, which was amazing. And I met the KitchenAid team, and it was just very cool just to be involved. And I hope that I can keep that relationship going. But I wouldn't have got that opportunity if I didn't put myself out there and ask. Like, if I didn't say, oh, I want to work with KitchenAid, I wouldn't have gone to that cake picnic. I wouldn't have been able to build the relationship up with them. A lot in this industry is about building up relationships with brands that you love. So that was very cool. That was another rejection therapy moment. Okay, next is really random, but one day at uni, I was sitting in my lecture and I was really bored. And another goal of mine this year was to get like a gifted kind of trip to Europe. And I know that sounds crazy, but I just thought I need to work smarter, not harder. Like, if I can provide something to like a tour group or something and then also get like a gifted trip, like, that would be really cool. Disclaimer, I'm actually not going to go now because of the state of the world right now. But I was in my lecture and I thought, wouldn't it be crazy if I just reached out to a bunch of like Greek islands travel places? And I saw this one place, I forgot what it's called, but it's like this tour company that is based in Eos in Greece. And I really want to go there because apparently they have like crazy parties and like it looks really fun. And I DM'd this account. I said, hey, like, I did a lot of traveling last year, just so they had reference on like videos I've done before that have done well. And I said, I want to create this kind of content for you. I would love to be involved. Like, let me know if you have any spots available or if this would be something you'd like to explore. And the guy said, what's your number? We'll call. And I had a call with him and he was like, yeah, we'd love to offer you like free accommodation for, I think it was a couple weeks, like passes to all the parties, a couple restaurants to try out so you can like include those in your videos. I was just like, what the heck? Like, I did tell him this. I was like, I'm just kind of sussing it out. I haven't got anything booked yet for Europe. Anyway, I just thought that was crazy. Like, if I didn't ask, then I wouldn't have, like, got the offer, you know what I mean? But I think this could apply to any industry. Like, say you're wanting to go for this job and you put your feelers out there and be like, hey, are you hiring? Or something like that, and then have a conversation. Like, it's a similar thing. I think what you can learn from this is that play to your strengths and know that you can use your strengths and your hard work to kind of get you places. Something like that. Like, almost something that seems too good to be true. Just ask the question. I actually think people need to do this more. It's just like put themselves out there and ask more questions to benefit themselves, because we're in this life for ourselves. Like, what are we doing if we're not doing stuff for ourselves? Yep. Anyway, so those are my 3 little rejection therapy quests that I've done recently. Now that I wanted to talk about some things that I have done in my life that have been rejection therapy, or even, I'm going to reframe that, things that people could have shut down but didn't. And if I didn't ask, I would not be where I am today. So, for example, posting my first TikTok, that was almost a rejection therapy play on my community. Like, I didn't create the community on TikTok from nothing, But my first decision to post a TikTok was the start of something so big and so many opportunities and amazing people that I've met. Like, something so big started from me just deciding to post that one video, and everyone could have rejected it. Everyone could have been like, that's boring, or the algorithm could have even rejected it. Rejection therapy with the algorithm. Like, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was like, I'm just going to throw this out there, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So posting my first TikTok was one of my first plays at rejection therapy after I finished school. Now, next is starting my cake business at 15 years old. I don't think when you start a business, you're ever fully ready. I think if you're ever wanting to start a business, my top tip to you would be to start before you're ready. Even if you think, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm doing. The only way to do it is to actually start and just to learn as you go. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know how to market a product. I knew I had a good product, like relatively good. It's obviously improved over the years. But yeah, I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about operations, ordering. Like, I didn't know anything, like customer service. But running a business has been one of my biggest learning curves ever. I reckon I've learned more from running a business than my actual business degree, which is crazy and just shows how much you learn when you actually just get stuck into something. But that was scary. That was something I could have got rejected on. Like, so many things related to my business I could have been rejected on. Like, asking the local markets, like, hey, I want to have a cupcake store. Would you be interested in having me at your markets? That was a rejection therapy. That was scary. I remember the first call with the market lady. I was like, she won't want me. And then I ended up building up a great relationship with them, and they were very supportive and everything. So yeah, my cake business was definitely one of my biggest learning curves with rejection therapy. Now, my next thing is I actually reached out to my management companies that I managed with now. So if you don't know, most creators do have a manager because they will have connections with brands that you're not able to get, and they're able to reach out to brands for you and get you paid jobs and execute things like, say, my collab with KitchenAid. And I wanted a really good, management agency who represent creators that are like-minded and just a good network of people. And I kind of shot for the top. I decided to email one of the top management agencies in Australia, and they manage some big creators like Michael Finch, Kat Clark. It's crazy. And I emailed them and I was like, hey, I'm looking at, getting management with an agency. Like, would you consider having me? They literally emailed, they're like, yes, we would love to have a chat, like, let's have a call and whatever. And a few months later, I'm signed with them, which is crazy. And every time I think about it, I'm like, whoa. And just the opportunities and also how lovely my manager is. I just feel so grateful and lucky. But I could have got rejected. They could have been like, no, you're not big enough, or you're not from Sydney, or something like that. Because I just reached out, simply reaching out. I think something that you'll learn from this episode is networking is everything. Just ask the question. Then another rejection therapy thing, which I think is the top biggest rejection therapy in my life, and that is interviewing people for my social media job. So if you don't know, I work for my university social media, and we have to go out into the campus, the uni campus. My boss will give us a brief, you got to interview people on their last week at uni, or how their exams are going, or what music they're listening to, something like that. That is the biggest rejection therapy. It's actually really funny. I feel like I've gained so much confidence from that job just because I have to go up to people and be like, hey, do you want to be in a TikTok? Usually they're like, oh, no, I don't want to be on camera. Or they're like, I'm okay, or something like that. It's so awkward. It's like, hey, do you want to be in TikTok? And they're like, sorry, I'm trying to do my assignment. And you're like, anyway, I just thought that was funny because my friend and I always joke that it's like rejection therapy to the max. Okay, so those are the ways that I have put myself out there to get rejected. And now I think it is your turn to do it with me live. We are going to do a little rejection therapy challenge. I want you to think of something that you've been thinking about for a while, something that you've been wanting to do, something that you're scared to do, or something that you don't think is possible, and I want you to make one small step towards that. Whether that's like sending a DM to someone, or applying for that job, or posting a video, I want you just to start that process and get the ball rolling. Because I always say, and I have this quote on my vision board, and it is, let me read it out. If you can't stop thinking about it, don't stop working for it. So, we are all going to start working towards our dreams today, and even if you have multiple ideas, just like do a little brainstorm first maybe, and pick the first idea, or pick the one that you're really excited about, something that excites you, and just start that process. And if you want, you can send me a DM as well, just for accountability. Be like, hey, Ebony, done this thing, I listened to the episode, and that would be great. And I can't wait to hear about it. So that's the first little challenge. The second challenge, this is a bonus challenge. This is something more towards like kind of the rejection therapy TikToks that you see, but I want you to go and ask a stranger something, obviously safely. Don't put yourself in an unsafe position. And I want you to like put yourself in a situation where you may get rejected. So ask for something where you expect to be told no. And if you can, please video and send to me, because I'd love to see that. That would be great. But go up to a cafe owner and say, hey, do you mind if I call out coffee orders for the next like half an hour? That'd be great. Or something like that. Or even I've seen people go behind like the kebab shops and help them make the kebabs. Like, I think that's so funny. So yeah, I feel like that's such a great lore to tell as well. Like, what a great story. And if you get rejected, what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? Exactly. Okay, so that is the end of this podcast. That was so much fun, and I feel like we learned so much. So let's talk about what we learned from rejection therapy. Firstly, putting yourself in situations where no is possible is so amazing and builds so much emotional resilience, confidence, and self-trust, way more than staying in your comfort zone ever would. And all of these stories kind of showed that people are way more open and keen to help and just kind. And also more willing to connect than we all assume. I feel like it's so easy to be like, oh, you know, they're never going to say yes, they're this kind of person. Or it just can be scary to ask for something, but I think people are more willing than you give them credit for. I think another thing to take note of everything that I thought I would get rejected for and all of my learnings over the years is that start before you're ready to do something. Like, you could have this great business idea that could just break the market and go insane, but how are you going to know if that's going to work unless you try it? And although you may not feel like you know everything now, you're going to learn along the way, and I definitely learned that in my business, and I think it's still one of the things in life that I'm really trying to do is just always step out of my comfort zone. The next thing is side quests, side quests, side quests. If you can, try and add as many side quests as you can into your life, or at least one side quest, so that you can have a little bit of fun on the side of your main quest. I feel like what we've learned from this episode just shows you how many more opportunities there are in the world, and how many more opportunities there are to network and start new things and build on your dreams. Like, it's so amazing, and there's so much opportunity in this world, and you should definitely capitalize on that. More things are a yes than you think they are. So I've just got a few recommendations for you guys, and that is 1, to add more side quests in your life, and 2 is to do our little mini challenge and report back to me on how your rejection therapy journeys have gone. That is the end of my solo episode for today. I'm actually so excited to listen to May's solo episode because she has told me some really exciting things that she's doing for the rejection therapy part of this little challenge, and I think it's going to be so much fun. This has been such a fun series, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. We are just starting out on this podcast, and we would love your support if you really like this. You can also join the conversation by following us on Instagram at areyouokcake.pod, and don't forget to add more side quests to your life and embrace rejection therapy. It's actually so much fun. Have the best day, guys. Bye!